Hey everybody, welcome to the Cosmic Dispatch. I'm Cory. I'm your host, and we're going to talk about February today, and we're going to talk a lot about Pisces. I've been traveling. I just got back, and actually, right now, I was supposed to be in LA, and a lot of my stuff got rescheduled. Um, yeah, that is something, I mean, amongst the many things that that disturbed me that in January was really crazy. A lot happened. I'm sure there are things that happened that I'm not even aware of. How can you keep track? How can you that's a lot to process. But I was thinking a lot about LA while I was away because, that's my hometown. I spent half of my life there. So that was a tough one. I have a lot of people there, and it got me thinking about, how much loss we've incurred and how much loss is on the horizon. I'm afraid to say. I mean, some things that I think we're going to end up losing, I'm really happy we're going to end up losing, but loss, no matter whether it's good or bad or good for us or bad for us, it's still loss. And loss is, I think, difficult for everyone. And since I'm going to be talking a lot about Pisces today, Pisces has a lot to do with loss, and it also has a lot to do with the imagination. And as I was processing, uh I mean, I grew up in LA. We had fires all the time. And so like it just becomes part of the landscape of reality. The fact that over the past several years that they have become, you know, more destructive and intense and needlessly destructive. And I think it is going to get worse. I don't think that there are any real supports in place. And I felt this way, when um, when everything went down in Appalachia. I'm not from there, but I know people who are from there. I know people who live there. And that was a tough one to process. But I think most of us can agree that as things continue to escalate, it stops being an issue of, oh, that's happening over there to some people that I don't know in a part of the world that I don't know. It's getting it's hitting home for more and more of us. And when we're dealing with loss, whether it's like catastrophic loss or even like I've experienced this when like an acquaintance passes away, within our bodies and within our psychology, there's a map of reality. There's like a psychic fabric that we're working within. And when sort of like a spider's web, when one little part of it gets disturbed or goes away, it sends ripples of unrest throughout the whole structure. It punctures, it ruptures that sense, that map of reality. And then because everything is connected, when one part of something goes away or is altered to a large degree, you have to kind of go through this process of reorganizing your sense of reality around this new piece that has changed or that has left, and that is a process, and the losses are coming quick and heavy, they're escalating, and I don't think most of us are internally equipped to keep doing this reconstruction process of, okay, well now this is my reality, without this person, without this place, without this idea, without this possibility. And so imagination, I think, becomes a really important part of that reconstruction process. um, and so that's just something I've been thinking about as I try to imagine, like, when I go back to LA, um, I'm going to be dealing with friends and colleagues who have undergone, a lot of heartbreak and trauma that's going to leave them altered. I mean, we all have heartbreak and trauma over a multitude of things. Um, and like revisiting places where significant parts of my life happened. And and then, of course, I'm also, and I shouldn't do this, but then I measure it against some video footage I saw this morning of Palestinians, marching back to their homes in North Gaza. And I, you want to talk about a psychic reconstruction process, like, I'm just feeling a tiny part of that, and it just, I guess I don't really have any words for that, but it's just something I was thinking about. And but I think the ruptures are going to continue, and we need to maybe lean into trying to teach our nervous systems and our bodies, because this happens in the body like all the time. You, with injury, with illness, or even just with change in aging, if one part of you is altered, it's not like the rest of you just goes on, you know, as if everything was normal without this one piece. No, when one thing goes or changes, because it's part of a whole, everything has to reorganize around this new piece of the puzzle or a missing puzzle piece. It's a whole process to reconstruct and reorganize a whole. Um, but that might be something that we have to get better at, that we have to learn to let go and allow this shifting and changing. Otherwise, if we're very adamant about things, staying the same, staying, things keeping themselves in some kind of structure that we are comfortable with, it's going to have us reaching backwards, and there is no going backwards. So, yeah, those are some things. Heavy, heavy thoughts while I was on vacation. I was supposed to go to do a bunch of things in LA, and now I'm not. So LA, I'll probably see you sometime in the spring. I'm still reconstructing my schedule. Um, so yeah, so we're going to talk about some of that today, and I'm going to do some housekeeping. If you like this content, like and subscribe. You can like and subscribe on YouTube, or we're on all the podcasting platforms, streaming platforms. Um, and you can also keep up to date with these episodes and whatever other things I'm doing on Instagram, which is kind of like my bulletin board. That's another thing, though, that might change soon. I don't, I don't like. use social media a lot, um, in the way that, a lot of self-employed people and artists have come to use it. Um, I don't put in a lot of energy, so I don't get a lot out of it. I do get some things though, which is why I'm kind of like, I don't know what to do with it. No, um I don't like any of this virtual stuff. Um but I understand that it's a point of contact. Yeah, I started my business in 2005 before before social media. So when social media came into the picture, I already had a client base. I had other ways of connecting with people through, I get referred a lot. So I'm not really dependent on it, but I do get some things out of it. I follow some journalists, I follow some artists. Most of my friends are not on it. Most of my clients aren't even on it because, like, we actually see each other. So, yeah, I don't know what to do with the whole social media thing. I imagine I will like leave at some point because there will be no more people on it to connect with. So, but I don't know. It doesn't make too much of a difference for me. But my yeah, it's like an extension of my website, website, a point of contact. I wanted to say two things at once. Um, website, that means website and point of contact. But you can find things there, but I would rather have you sign up for my newsletter. All of that information is in the show notes if you want to be on my mailing list. I don't send messages a lot unless I have something going on, or quarterly I'll send out updates. So yeah, sign up for that if you want. Um, my books are open for March. You can book through my website to book a consultation. Um, February, I'm slammed. That's like nothing. I can add no more things to my schedule in February. I will be in New York City in a couple of weeks. I'm going to be in a rehearsal process there. So I expect to be back online and reading charts and teaching and all of that in March. So you can book now for that again through my website. Um, and oh, while you are, booking your consultation, you can also book small group chart interpretation workshop. That's a rolling registration. Basically, you email me and then we work out a schedule to do that process. And again, all of that information is on my website. If you go under services, it explains everything that's on the menu. What else? Oh, and speaking of March, so just like heads up, I'm going to talk about February astrology. It's pretty much an unfolding of everything that happened in January, you know. But March and April are the astrology is really wild. And you might be thinking, okay, really? Like things escalate from here. And it's not so much that they escalate. It's we're gonna get a different flavor of chaos. Um, it's really wild and really profound. And I will talk about that more in the lead up to March. But because I knew that time between March and April was going to be really significant, I'm teaming up again with Shay and the Catskills, and we're doing a Venus retrograde workshop. Venus retrograde is we're using it as an anchor, but that Venus retrograde is just one of many things that occur during March and April. And we're looking at the border between the 12th sign of the zodiac Pisces and the first sign of the zodiac Aries. Due to retrogrades and other slow moving planet ingresses, there's a lot of activity that is happening going across that Pisces Aries border. Um, yeah, I'll talk more about that. But because I see that as another incredibly not disable. I mean, maybe disabling time. What did I mean? Destabilizing time. We're going to hold a container for that called Beyond Love and Strife. It's a Venus retrograde workshop. Um, we're capping that at 12 because we like to have things be a little more intimate, and we want to make sure that everyone gets at least a satisfying amount of personal attention, gets to, everyone gets to express themselves. um but we have like unlimited asynchronous participation if you want the if you want the info. And of course, you are also welcome to interact with us on Slack or Discord or whatever we decide, or email, to get any clarification on any of that content. Again, more info about that is in the show notes. That starts on March 9th. What else? You can also book, speaking of stuff I'm doing, collaborations I'm doing with Shay. We have a new consultation. It's a new reading called The Correspondence, and it's a tarot and astrology reading. It's recorded, it's not live. And we've done some over the past several weeks, and it is like one of the most fun readings that I do. It's a little bit like improvisational theater, so I get to get my performance fix a little bit, and my writing fix. Not that I'm like literally writing anything, but Shay and I together, again, in this improvisational process, we're building a story. Um, I do my preparation by myself. We do not prepare it together. Shay does her preparation by herself. And then we come into the meeting, we hit record, and then I lead with the natal chart and some of the stories that are jumping out at me within the natal chart, start talking about them. And then Shay will come in and add to that. And then invariably, just like in the moment, I will find some things in Shay's interpretation using tarot that make me see the story in a different way or in an expanded way. And then back and forth we go, riffing off each other. And it feels like I'm back in my improv comedy days. And yeah, for those of you who didn't know, yeah, I have an improv comedy past. And it is so much fun. And we have heard from a couple people like that this is the best reading I've ever got. I'm not making it up. These are actual testimonials, um and yeah, they're really special. So if you would, if you're looking for a different way to engage with your natal chart, to engage with tarot, I highly recommend that. You can book that on my website. You can book that on Shay's website. And I think that's everything. Yeah, so I'll be in New York City in a couple weeks. And I just have to mention the names of the people that I'm working with. I'm working on this very long form theatrical project, um, contemporary performance project with the incredible Elizabeth Motley, Miguel Esteban, India Harville, and Ifashina Clear. Um, I wanted to say their names because if you are interested in contemporary performance, if you are interested in disability justice, um, those are some people you're going to want to follow. They're doing really amazing work, and I'm so honored to be a part of this process. Um, yeah, should I get to the astrology now? Maybe I should get to the astrology now. So I'm reading from my February forecast for chronogram that I do every month. Again, link in the show notes. And I think last time I talked, it seemed the last time I talked to you was like mid-December, and that feels like a lifetime ago because so much has happened. Um, but I think I told you then that I was doing this series called Astrology 101. We kind of tried it out. We're seeing if we're getting enough readership to have it continue, and we are. So I'm continuing. And so for February, I wrote a 101 piece about Pisces, and Pisces comes up. Pisces season comes up about February 18th, so that's not too far away. But as I'm recording this in the middle of Aquarius season, Venus right now is in Pisces. It's going to enter Aries February. I'll get to it like February 4th or something. But we haven't seen the last of Venus in Pisces because it's going to retrograde back in the spring. And so we want to be paying attention to all that's been going on with Venus and Pisces lately, because that is the beginning of a Venus and Pisces story. So I'll be talking about Pisces as well today. I'll be reading, but of course, I will be commenting, doing some commentary on my own content. So, yeah, let's get started. Um, so, the what did I title this? Month of February forecast. I titled this Nothing More Than Feelings. And that might seem, for those of you who follow astrology content, like that's an obvious one, but it's not just because we're entering Pisces season. There's a lot going on in Pisces, but also Mars is still in Cancer. That's another water sign. um Feelings again, lots of feelings. So let's go. So February, emotions. Emotions are on the menu. Served hot, soupy, schmaltzy, and extra large. We're thinking and acting from the heart this month, which doesn't necessarily equate to a stream of loving sentiments, but it can. I mean, I think it's going to be a very sensitive time. People are going to be a little more soft hearted than usual. But also, pent up passion, rage, and fear are just as likely to rear their Hydra like heads. And if you're familiar with the Hydra, it's multiple heads, multiple feelings. February kicks off with a whopping quadruple conjunction in Pisces on the first of the month that might have us singing That's Amore from the tops of our lungs. So, the moon, Venus, and Neptune, all in Pisces, huddle around the moon's north node to create an environment thick with romance. Enjoy it. Enjoy it for the few days that it's active, because on the 4th, Venus enters Aries, where her appetites become much more incendiary. Jupiter also stations direct in Gemini on this day, which fans the flames of desire, leaving you wanting everything all at once. Our best chance at mental clarity might be the days surrounding the full moon in Leo on the 12th. It opposes the Sun and Mercury in ice cold Aquarius, fresh off their conjunction the previous day. When the Sun and Mercury conjoin, when Mercury has its cazimi, we become privy to suppressed information, and in an intellectually inclined sign like Aquarius, we could get a much needed dose of objectivity. I also didn't mention I only have 300 words to do the monthly forecast. But that full moon in Leo also is square to Uranus and Taurus. So I also think, 2 days on either side of that full moon in Leo, yeah, we can get clear, yeah, we can get objective, but also because of the Uranus part, we could get some flashes of brilliance. We could get some information that was totally unexpected and really changes the game. So yeah, a little more disruption, um but still totally can be useful. And 2 days later, though, Mercury slides into Pisces. And then we're back to the blurring of information, not just, coming in externally, but like within, like the blurring of the intellect with the emotions. We might feel, or our person, we might think we're being objective when in actuality, our thoughts are being so heavily colored by our internal bias, or by our feelings, our emotional content, our emotional bias, that it's going to be hard to trust, ourselves even. I forget who said, don't believe everything you think. This would be a time for that. So just because you're on fire about something, you feel like, you're, whatever you feel is the absolute truth. Like you have to purposefully in instill a regimen, no matter how deeply you believe something, of asking yourself, how do I know that's true? Is it really true? And really investigating your own biases. um yeah, gullibility is also, um a thing that can happen in Pisces, especially with Mercury in Pisces. um where was I? So that happens. Mercury slides into Pisces, and then on the 18th, the Sun enters Pisces, and then we're in Pisces season. And then here's where that the Sun entering Pisces after Mercury, we might actually be a little more inclined to to go with our heart or our imagination. We're more likely to, lean towards what's comfortable and what's easy. So just something to think about. And, I even use this word in the piece. We might even want to luxuriate in that. And by all means, Pisces, amongst many, many things, um, deals with escaping the harshness of reality, the harshness of the truth, the harshness of life. And we do need that escape once in a while, but we need to come back. And when Pisces gets in trouble, it will get lost in that fantastic sauce, right? It'll get lost in what it wishes were true. It will get lost in, what it hopes things will be like. But, also there's a dark side to that. It might get lost in other types of things that are not true, like paranoia. They'll get lost in their darkest fears. So, and I'm not, I'm not I'm not, shit talking Pisces, but those are some of the traps. Pisces is also what gives us the ability to imagine things that don't exist yet, so that at some point they might exist. I think it was the astrologer Caroline Casey who said that imagination lays the tracks for the reality train to follow. So even though Pisces is about engaging with things that are not a part of material 3D reality, we the things that do become material 3D reality can't manifest if the tracks have not been laid down for that, and we get that through the imagination. So so yeah, that's a little bit about Pisces. I'll talk more about that in a bit. um Moving on February 23rd, Mars stations direct in Cancer. You've had a lot of Mars in Cancer over the past several months. This amps up our desire to take action in our quest for closeness, safety, and belonging. Um, I have a feeling that around that time, we're going to be probably getting some more information about immigration. So, on the individual scale, Cancer can be about asylum. Where is safe? Where is home? Where do I belong? Who are my people? Um, where is my tribe on a personal level? And, you know, cancer cancer is nationalism, asking those same questions. Where is safe? Who are my people? Where is my home? Where do I belong? I think something I know a lot of immigration stuff has been coming down. I mean, this, the the things. Oh, should I go here? I'm not going to go here. Um, anyway, I think a new chapter in the current immigration story is going to drop around that time. Again, either collectively or for you. You might be dealing with home and property issues, family issues. Those could come up. The 27th brings us a new moon in Pisces that aligns with magnifying Jupiter, which is in Gemini. Our feelings, or more importantly, our interpretation of our feelings, could lead us in foolish and or inspired directions. So, that's a little that's another game we might want to play with ourselves. This 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 seems really foolish, but I really want to do it. And sometimes our most foolish impulses are quite wise, because we are breaking out of mental habits. And again, like we're going to be coming off of this full moon in Leo square Uranus. It's how do I describe this picture? It's like, yes, we have all these feelings. Everything is, churning and mushing together. And as far as like the environment of February, we have flashes of light that, cut through that at various points. So you might be able to catch some of those flashes if you're looking for them. It's very easy to get lost in all of the feelings and feel like you can't dry off or like find your way out or take a fresh breath of air. But if you look for it, you might, especially around mid-month. Um, and just want to say another contextualizer for this Pisces Aries thing, even though right now we're in Aquarius and we're embarking on Pisces. Venus is in Pisces right now. This is really important. Venus in Pisces is in its exaltation. Venus can express itself with the utmost confidence in Pisces. Um, so Venusian things, relationships, creativity, art making, all these things um, are going to be, they might seem quite easy, or you might want to gravitate towards them quite effortlessly. Of course, yeah, right. If you're gravitating towards it, you're not aiming for it. It's just kind of happening. Venus is a lot about magnetism and things like that, either magnetizing things to you or you being magnetized by something. You're just kind of floating towards these things. Um, and we're going to get another hit of that later in the spring. But then on the 4th, it moves into Aries, and Aries is the sign of Venus's detriment. Venus does not get to express itself um, as easily in Aries as it does in Pisces. It's kind of a stranger in a strange land in Aries. Can still function, can still do things, but doesn't have the easiest of access to its tools, the tools that it prefers. And it got me thinking about, because I'm going to have to talk a lot about this in March in workshop, and I'm going to have to write about it. And so I was like thinking, oh, how do I contextualize this? What's the story here? And it's Fight Club. Um, Chuck Palahniuk, I believe in the 90s, wrote this short novel, Fight Club. Then it became a movie, I think sometime around 1999. Um, Brad Pitt and Edward Norton. I'm a big fan. I've seen it like a million times, so like I can quote the whole thing. But one of the things I wanted to quote from Fight Club that really made me think of this whole Pisces Aries situation was, it's only after we've lost everything that we're free to do anything. Um, so Pisces is about losing everything. And it's not it's not just loss and then there it is, forlorn, I have nothing. That's not actually what Pisces is about. It's about losing all of the things that bind us, that keep us from making full contact with each other, full contact with life, full contact with ourselves. um that's why people say, oh, Pisces is such a spiritual sign. It's about it's about dissolving everything that keeps us from the ideal, the sublime, God, like all these bigger eternal things. So that's the Pisces part. It's only after we've lost everything. And then the Aries part is that we're free to do anything. And here's Aries with the will. being the first one to just try something without, caring about the outcome, without caring about, relationships. They just want to fully make contact with their being, their will, the the freedom to just act and do whatever they're moved to do in the moment. And so I thought that was a really interesting way to encapsulate the Pisces Aries situation that's coming up in March. But we're gonna feel a little of that transition in the beginning of February, and then it really comes back in the spring. Um, and also, Chuck Palahniuk also happens to be a Pisces himself. Fun fact. Um, and so for those of you who do know the book and who do know the film, you might be like, oh, I can see the Aries part of it, right? A bunch of guys beating the shit out of each other. Yeah, okay, that's very Aries. Conflict, the masculine. Um, but upon a closer read, upon a closer viewing, a deeper viewing, um, it's a story about spiritual bankruptcy and what happens when we buy into the idea that we're not part of something larger than ourselves. Pisces. It What happens when we truly believe that, I am just an individual. I'm thinking now about like Nietzschean types of themes like will to power. I'm just an individual, separate, individuated from everybody else, and there's just me and my will. So that's Aries. And so I feel that that sentence, it's only when you lose, everything that you're free to do anything, really encapsulates some of the things that we're going to be grappling with in the spring. People on, whatever, wherever you land on the political spectrum, all kinds of people, even people who have like really diametrically opposed politics, are still labeling themselves as revolutionaries. Everyone's going to lose here, right? Everyone's losing something. Um, but I feel like the being free to do anything part is going to be very interesting. What happens when you have all these people, no matter like, again, no matter where they land on the political spectrum, feeling like they've lost everything, and now, you know, fuck it, they're just gonna, let loose and do, whatever they want. um I don't know, like I talk to a lot of younger people who are who do a lot of activist work and are very involved with social justice, and I can see that as a very empowering um, way to frame what's going on, because we can't create anything new until we've really let go of the things that are binding us. And this is Pisces. But like I mentioned at the top of the show, that's a really difficult thing to do. Our nervous systems are designed to send out all these signals to us whenever we think we're unsafe. And we might not be unsafe, we're just in a different place. There's a big difference between feeling like you're unsafe and actually being unsafe. And a lot of the times, the body, the nervous system can't tell the difference. And this is why I think, as I said earlier, we're going to have to start to engage in practices and start to be able to tell the difference. Because if at every if at every new development or even announcement of a development, whether it's true or not, our nervous system is firing off alarms that we're unsafe, um, we're not going to we're going to be in such a state of dysregulation and reactivity that we can't do the very necessary work of building solid new foundations. That is slow work. And it's work that requires that you stay the course. But if the nervous system is firing off every 5 minutes, saying you need to react to this, you need to react to this, you need to put out that fire and put out that fire, we can't do all of this new building. We can't do this the free to do anything part, because we're not free. We're still being held hostage by a lot of old stories and a lot of old feelings. Um, so yeah, advice wise, I know you didn't ask for it, but advice wise, this is more of a Pluto thing, and I'm trying to stay on topic, but I think it's important because a lot of people are really struggling with the news cycle right now. Um, we try to bring this into the world of Aries, fighting, right? Combat. What is capturing our attention right now is is like the if you were fighting someone, it's like the wind up, the telegraphing, right? Like you can see someone like cocking their right arm back, and they're telling you, oh, I'm going to hit you so hard, I'm going to hit you right in the face, and I have this much power behind my right arm. Like, that's just kind of prepping you to expect, you know, this punch coming at you from a specific place. And it starts getting your attention all wrapped up in, what am I going to do when, that happens? And honestly, that's not where the power is. That's probably not what's going to hurt you, because the things that have true power aren't the things that you can see. And chances are, if someone who has a lot of power, a group of people, whatever, they're telegraphing and they're, lathering something up to get your attention, you can bet that that's actually not the thing that's going to hurt you. That wind up right hook isn't going to be the thing that punches you in the face. It's going to be a surprise left jab. And we need to, instead of living from the outside in, it's like, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? There's going to be a lot of misdirection going on. And if you're constantly attuned to what are they going to do? What is that person going to do? You are in a constant state of dysregulation and reactivity. And I think the power, going back to Aries and, the Aries types of things coming up, Venus is going to get into Aries, is living from the inside out. Take your attention back to your own body, to your own desires. Question yourself, well, okay, they're going to do what they're going to do. What do I want to do? What am I trying to build? Who are the people that I'm looking for that I can work with to impose my will on the situation instead of allowing people to hijack my fucking nervous system, my mind, my body, my attention? No hijacking. Take it back. And it starts with your attention. I know that's really difficult when, they're, when I say they, yeah, I want to be specific, and it's really hard to be specific because there are so many things, but I'm talking about, the larger, the powers that be, the people who are trying to get your attention. Um, they're putting on a show, and they want you to look because there's there are other things going on that you can't see that are the real threat. And so if, they can divert your attention and get you to leave your body and your own mind and your own concerns and desires and things you want to do, um, if they do that to us, um, how effective can we be? And true power, like real power. We don't even know the names of, I think, the people who have true power, like the people who we can see who are like, we're people are getting thrown in our face all the time. That's not real power. The real power keeps itself hidden. I'm thinking of like the work of the French philosopher, but Michel Foucault. What did he say? He said something to the effect of, yeah, visibility is a trap. And especially in the Western world, we're taught, no, that's wrong. Visibility is power. It's not true power. It's not deep power. Deep power keeps itself hid. um think about again, martial arts or poker. You don't announce what you're going to do. There is no power in that. I know there's going to be announcements all over the place. If you're really trying to get something done and it's big, you keep that hid. You go underground. Okay, I'm getting into Pluto territory. I need to finish this up. I'm going to move on to understanding Pisces. I haven't titled it yet. I'm thinking of something dramatic like the agony and the ecstasy of Pisces. Maybe it might be something different. Um, okay, I'm going to talk about Pisces now. 2025 and 2026 are hosts to significant movements through the sign of Pisces. Not only does the sun enter Pisces this month, but last month, January, the north node of the moon entered the sign, setting us up for a year and a half of eclipses on the Pisces Virgo axis. This is also the year that Saturn and Neptune, two slow-moving planets, sing their swan song in Pisces before moving on to Aries. As if that weren't enough, Venus, which is finishing up its usual visit in Pisces at the beginning of this month, will return to Pisces at the end of March due to its retrograde. Pisces is the 12th and last sign of the zodiac. Amongst astrologers, it is casually and euphemistically called the dustbin of the zodiac. After a planet has traveled, learned, and developed through the previous 11 signs, Pisces is where the whole collection of experiences culminates and gets dumped. Pisces is where the whole, I just said that. However, it's not just accumulated waste. that gets tossed into the Pisces Ocean. The residue of all that was deeply felt, imagined, and believed permeates those waters as well. The zodiac sign in Western the zodiac signs in Western astrology are divided into four elements: fire, earth, air, and water. Pisces is a water sign. Along with Cancer and Scorpio, Pisces represents the realms of emotion, intuition, and receptivity. When you run your hand under the faucet, you can definitely feel it. You can feel its temperature, its pressure. You can see what it looks like and hear what it sounds like, but you can't grasp it. This is the experience of working with the water signs. Pisces is particularly unfathomable because it contains the entirety of an experience. Nothing is left out. To Pisces, perfection is wholeness. It's a place where nothing is parsed, only included. One of my favorite examples of this is expressed in a cringy astrology joke, which is, what did Pisces say to the hot dog vendor? Make me one with everything. Ha ha ha. The exquisitely sensitive nature of Pisces is legendary. When something is formless or lacking in defining boundaries, it can easily adopt the character, the emotions, and the actions of whatever it's near. This quality is the source of many tropes about Pisces and states of longing and compassion. Compassion literally means to suffer with. But yearning for union and sacrificing for redemption are only part of the Pisces experience. Pisces, like the oceanic Neptune and Poseidon, who are its kin, can be a force of nature. The crushing weight of water has the power to erode mountains and carve shapes out of the densest material. Metaphorically, that is one of Pisces' primary jobs, to dissolve anything that gets in the way of making contact with God, the sublime, and the eternal. It's also Pisces' job to dissolve the ego structures that keep us from connecting with each other, nature, and our inherent capacity to heal. Pisces is also tasked with removing the structures that separate us from our own subconscious minds and all forms of the muse, painting, music, poetry, dance, films, dreams, and the imagination all reside in this mystical realm. In Pisces' search for ecstasy and escape from the harshness of 3D reality, it can turn to substances and behaviors that, quote unquote, help it transcend the all too prosaic and painful aspects of life. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll belong in this realm just as much as abstinence, asceticism, and social media. Anything that blunts the discomfort of living in a decaying body and all the psychological torments of death and loss are Pisces territory. The fact that there is so much planetary activity in this sector of the astrological landscape speaks to a year of dissolving boundaries, rethinking our relationship to spirituality and religion, martyrdom for social change, and attempting to regulate water. Individually and collectively, we may try to disentangle ourselves from situations we've become too enmeshed with, or conversely, allow ourselves to melt into our relationships with less concern about our individual welfare. And that could be good or bad. We are all individuals with unique histories and perspectives. But this increased amount of Pisces activity will determine will demonstrate how we're all woven into the same fabric of reality. We'll feel it. Pisces can idealize a perfect world. No other astrological sign feels the pain of the gap between that ideal and what the material world will allow more than Pisces. Its symbol is two fish swimming in opposite directions. One fish swims towards the pain, ready to swallow it whole. The other swims towards transcendence in search of bliss. And such is the agony and the ecstasy of Pisces. That's the end of that piece, but I talk to a lot of Pisces people. I have a lot of Pisces friends, a lot of Pisces colleagues, of course, because I do a lot of work in art. I do a lot of work in, healing types of situations, whether, that's body, mind, or something else. And so I know a lot of Pisces people. And one thing I can say across the board, like a big encapsulator of the Pisces experience, is this gap. Because the imaginal to Pisces, it's not imaginal. Like anyone else would be like, oh, yeah, I get lost in my imagination like all the time, my dreams, whatever. But the, again, quote unquote, imaginal to Pisces is very real. It's experienced as a reality. So they're making that contact. And they also live in a body, in a decaying body in the material world. And so when they try to bridge that gap, which, when you try to take something from the imagination and manifest it materially, it's not going to be an exact representation of what was in your mind or what was in your heart. There will be a gap. You have to sacrifice something. Sacrifice is another big Pisces word. The Pisces experience, when we say, this longing and this nostalgia and this sentimentality, it's about the gap that can never be fully bridged. Never. You can get like some part of it, but Pisces will always know in their body the feeling of having a real experience with the imaginal. And so I think there's going to be a lot of that. Again, that's why I kind of told the story about my feelings about, LA and displacement at the top of the show, because that I felt that there was a very Pisces experience. And I think we're going to be feeling the gap, and it's going to hurt. But to understand that for anything to materially be built and exist in a real way, it's never going to, fully inhabit what we were able to imagine. There will have to be some sacrifices so that it does exist in a real place. And I've been thinking like how how to deal with that. And I did some Pisces readings while I was away, and something I kept coming back to. Um, I mentioned that my my history with improv comedy, but like I'm an actor. I was trained as an actor, and I was thinking about when I was studying when I was younger, my first like serious study of acting. And one of the criticisms that I got, I think I was doing, Shakespeare or whatever, like big text, huge text that encompasses, the meaning of life and reality with such, poetics. And a teacher of mine was like, your performances are really detailed and lived in and honest, and they're good, but I you're keeping things very small. And he was dead on about this. It's like you're taking, this huge idea, this huge feeling, these huge statements, this world, and you're condensing it, and you're turning it into a size that you're comfortable with. And that's why, it seems very immediate and real, and that's great. But consider, instead of taking this huge thing and making it really small so that it exists in this very comfortable way, what would happen if you reached up for the material? And here's the Pisces thing, you let go of the things you already think you're capable of, the things that you're comfortable with, and what's quote unquote real for you in your body. And you expand it into this much bigger idea, this much bigger world that is going to make you uncomfortable. And it's also, that's going to be the thing that's moving. That's going to be the thing that's interesting. And it's also going to be the thing that will actually change me. It will grow me as a flesh and blood person trying to reach up into this bigger thing, instead of thinking that for it to be real, I have to like make it smaller. And I know I just talked about sacrifice, but what if it worked the other way? What if, again, sacrificing our little egos or our big egos and this idea of, no, but like I'm the kind of person who does this, or this feels authentic to me and this feels real to me. What if we let go of that? What if we sacrificed that so we could inhabit a bigger space, and in that way make these larger things real? It doesn't always have to go, the other way. Let me sacrifice some of these, big ideas so that it can, it can land on earth in a easier or more comfortable way. What if we, as flesh and blood dying bodies, enlarged ourselves? It can go both ways. I hope that made any kind of sense. It made sense when I was thinking about it. But I think I want to leave. Yeah, I think I'm going to leave you with that. I think that's plenty. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Tons of info in the show notes, all the links to the things. And if you're in the city in February, I might see you, or give me a shout so I can come visit. And that's it. Take care, everybody, and I'll see you next time.